Lastly, the Vanguard. All right, quickly start to see what is on the front page, what the papers are saying on the Guardian this morning, being the 16th of February, being Monday. On the front page of the Guardian this morning, on page 6, it says port users pay more as NCS recreate multiple FX regime at 7% margin. Port users pay more as NCS recreate multiple FX regime at 7% margin. Then we also see on page 7, still on the Guardian, it says Afenifere raises alarm over persistent terror attack abduction. Then on page 5, it says CPPE decries NIO tri-yearly losses by MSMEs to employees corruption fraud. That is coming in on page 5, still on the Guardian. Then on page 9, Kwara government under fire for campaigning why terrorists raid community. Kwara government under fire for campaigning why terrorists raid community. Then on page 8, Tax Act, Presidency, Fort Amechi claim on 25% bank deduction rules. Tax Act, Presidency, Fort Amechi's claim on 25% bank abduction rules. Then on page 3, still on the Guardian, the down page, PMS supplies hit 65 million liters a day as consumption fell to 60.2 million in January. Then on page 3, still on the Guardian, the down page, data shows 10 years capital funding gap in health sector. Data shows 10 years capital funding gap in health sector. Then on page 3, still on the Guardian this morning, NLC alleged federal government planning to settle the boys with 3 trillion electricity subsidy. NLC alleged federal government planning to settle the boys with 3 trillion electricity subsidy. Then on page 6, still on the Guardian this morning, mixed reaction, trade reporter reported U.S. troops arrives amid fresh attack. Mixed reaction, trade reported U.S. troop arrival amidst fresh attack. Then we also have on page 5, still on the Guardian, AU Summit, Nigerian backs reform, regional security measure. AU Summit, Nigerian backs reforms, regional security measures. Then we also see on the front page where we see the major trending story there, where it says ports users pay more as NCS recreate multiple FX regime at 7% margin. A quick look at why most of the port users are paying more as NC recreate multiple FX regime. We can see here it says custom is using a foreign exchange rate that is higher than the market rate. I mean, instead of using the actual market exchange rate, I mean, what dollars are trading for on the Nigerian anonymous foreign exchange market, the NCS has fixed its own rate at 1,451 per liter, equal to $1, roughly 98 to 100 above the weekly average official market rate. And another white port users is also using to recreate multiple FX regime. We also have this effectively creates a multiple FX regime. This effectively creates a multiple FX regime. I mean, they say here, economic and traders says custom is now operating a parallel exchange rate separate from unified market rate. All right. Then we also have the 7% margin acts like an extra tax. They say the 7% margin acts as an extra tax. I mean, by adding roughly 7% above the spot rate, custom isn't just fixing the rate, it's increasing the cost base used to calculate import duty. And we also have policy uncertainty and FX market distrust. Policy uncertainty and FX market distrust. I mean, these are the major reasons why port users pay more as NCS recreates multiple FX regime at 7% margin. All right, a quick look at what the other papers are saying this morning. Let's look at what the Punch has for us this beautiful Monday morning. On the front page of the Punch, the leading story here is emergency plenary. National Assembly move to shift presidential poll to February 13th. Emergency plenary. National Assembly moves to shift presidential polls to February 13th. We have your Senate House recall lawmakers from recess again. Senate House recall lawmakers from recess again. Then we also have to review 2026 electoral bills again on Tuesday. To review 2026 electoral bill again on Tuesday. Then we also have presidential poll to hold earlier over Ramadan overlap. Presidential poll to hold earlier over Ramadan overlap. Then on the up page, on page 2, still on the Punch, where we have the picture of Apabio there, it's the ex-INEC chief demand real-time result transmission as NAS panel meets. Ex-INEC chiefs demand real-time result transmission as NAS panel meets. Then on the main front page, on the down page, where we see a devastating fire outbreak in the market, it says Shetima lead federal government delegation to Kano after devastating market fire. Shetima leads federal government delegation to Kano after devastating market fire. And we can see the picture of how horrific the market was on fire, and Shetima has already lead, the vice president has already lead a delegation to Kano after such a horrific outbreak of fire. All right, then on page 8, still on the Punch, the down page, the Tinubu's Adamawa visit reignites Fintiri defection rumor. Tinubu Adamawa visit reignites Fintiri defection rumor. And we also have still on the front page of the Punch, on page 7, security lawmakers peeled over Ndume's support for U.S. troop deployment. Insecurity lawmakers peeled over Ndume's support for U.S. troop deployment. Then on page 8, still on the Punch this morning, Kwankwaso returned from India trip amid U.S. sanction threats. Kwankwaso returned from India trip amid U.S. sanction threat. All right, then on the front page here, where we see that the National Assembly shifts to presidential poll. Moves to shift presidential poll to February 13th. The last paper that we read, the election was meant to be scheduled on February 20th, and now it has been shifted to February 13th. The major reasons why it has been shifted due to Ramadan timing concern. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, originally set the presidential and National Assembly election for 28th February 2027, which will fall during Ramadan. And they also have legislative action to address that concern. Legislative action to address that concern. In response, the National Assembly has cut short its recess and recall an emergency plenary session to reconsider the election timetable and possibility. All right. Then we also have these are the major reasons why it is shifted to February 13th instead of 20th. We also have to ensuring inconclusiveness and credibility. Ensuring inconclusiveness and credibility. Lawmakers have publicly suggested that adjusting the date aims to allow every Nigerian, regardless of faith, a fair opportunity to participate in the election. These are the major reasons why the presidential polls to be held before on the 20th of February is now shifted to the 13th of February because of the Ramadan timing concern and also legislative action to address those issues. All right, a quick dive in to see major reasons why it's also shifted, and to know the exact dates. We'll keep giving you most of the trending stories and the exact timing when it's already stipulated. But now we can see that it's already on the 13th of February, not more on the 20th. All right, let's quickly move to the next paper to see what the papers are saying. On the New Telegraph this morning, let's quickly move to Telegraph before the Daily Sun. on the New Telegraph this morning on the front page. Terror war. First batch of U.S. troops, military aircraft touchdown in Nigeria. Terror war, that's the caption. Then first batch of U.S. troop, military aircraft touchdown Nigeria. Then 5 planes brings in equipment, ammunition. Troops dislodge terrorist syndicate in Katsina. Allah recover arms, ammunition. Police launches area surveillance in Benue. We also have MACBAN, MACBAN, debunk terror link, urges diplomatic intervention over U.S. bill. Then on the front page, still on the New Telegraph, on page 2 and page 26, it says reps emergency plenary real-time transmission seats for women top agenda. Reps emergency plenary real-time transmission seats for women top agenda begins probe of non-release of 1,174.226 billion naira agric funding. All right. Then we also have on page 7, still on the New Telegraph, why Obuleri dedicated 175 billion to grassroots development, over 16 billion to health care by Anigu. All right. Then on page 2 and page 26, still on the New Telegraph, it says Obi to Nigerians, stop addressing looters as excellency, honorables. Okay, Obi is telling Nigerians to stop addressing looters as excellency and honorable. All citizens to join him to rescue Nigeria. This is still under the political torso and the fight for the new presidency and the leadership in the country. All right, then we also see on page 4, still on the New Telegraph, NLC demand ends to power privatization, says 3 trillion Genco bailout electricity rolls. All right, NLC demand ends to power privatization, says 3 trillion Genco bailout electricity rose. Then we can also see on page 7, still on the New Telegraph, where we have August 8, PDP, LP missing as INEC clears 14 parties for Osun Goba. August 8, PDP, LP missing as INEC clears 14 parties for Osun Goba. Then on page 4, still on the New Telegraph, Agungu, Tinubu patronizing festival over Nigerian security, ADC. Agungu, Tinubu prioritizing festival over Nigerian security, says by ADC. Then on page 6, the down page of the New Telegraph, where we have on the New Telegraph, all right, we have on page 6, Hizbah law, we weren't consulted. Christians won't be subjected to it. Coming from the Christian Association of Nigeria Test Assembly. You see, about the Hizbah law, they are coming out to say they weren't aware of the Hizbah law. we weren't consulted. Christians won't be subjected to it. Can Test Nigerian Assembly. All right, then ask Bago to reject the law. Then on page 2 and page 27, still on the New Telegraph, where we have United Nigerian Airline grounds 2 airplane over bird strike. United Nigerian Airline ground 2 airplane over bird strike. Nigerian carriers are profitable on paper, unsolvent in reality, coming from Abo, the MD. Then on the down page, on page 27, where we have Vistra fat could trigger diabetes studies, coming from head. Vistra fat could trigger diabetes study. Then on the main front page of the New Telegraph, where we have terror war, first batch of U.S. troop military aircraft touched down Nigeria. We've seen what has happened in the time past due to insurgency and what is really trending, and in case of insurgency, kidnapping and killing that has really erupted in Nigeria. We are hearing the news that the U.S. military has touched down Nigeria, which is the first batch of U.S. military touching down Nigeria and landing in the airport. All right, several U.S. military aircraft have landed in North Nigeria, particularly Maiduguri, Borno State, with reports mentioning up to 5 planes touching down so far. The first batch of the U.S. troop, estimated at around 100 to 200 personnel, has arrived in the country. Additional aircraft and more personnel are expected to land in the coming days and week. Because of the challenges we are facing in the country, American soldiers who have partnered, our presidency is partnering with the security of American militaries to make sure we collaborate to eliminate most of this insurgency and killing in the country. According to the international and local sources, the deployment is a part of an expanded security partnerships between the United States and Nigeria to support counter-terrorism efforts, especially against group like Islamic State, West African Province, which is the ISWAP, then Boko Haram in the northeast. U.S. aircraft offloading equipment and supplies, including ammunition, as part of logistics support to Nigerian forces. The American personnel are expected to focus on intelligence, training, adversary support, and coordinating with Nigerian military. With the Nigerian military. All right, this is most of the training story on the New Telegraph. We can see most of what has really happened in the time past, and the American soldiers have touched down Nigeria with the first batch of the military troop. This is a very good one coming in from in the case of insurgency and how insurgency can be cured off in this country and can be brought to an end. We really hope that they work with our military in Nigeria to make sure that insurgency is brought down to normal, to the last, and make sure that people go back to their normal life. All right, let's quickly move to the next paper to see what the paper is saying. Let's quickly move to Vanguard this morning to see what Vanguard has for us. On the front page of the Vanguard this morning, we have on the main front page, it says reps under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of result. Electoral Act harmonization, that is the caption. Then we now have reps under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of result. Right. Then we also have see on the front page, on page 8, why most NASS members, which is NAS, may lose seats in 2027, coming in from IGNI. Why most NASS, which is NAS members, may lose seats in 2027, coming in from IGNI. Then we also have see on the front page why reps is under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of results. Under it we have empirical data guided our decision. Empirical data guided our decision, coming from the Senate. Then we also have in-seat real-time electronic transmission of election results, not practicable now. That is still coming in from the front page. Then on page 15, still on the Vanguard this morning, 2027 Obi formally declares for ADC, vows to defy ballot rigging. 2027 Obi formally declares for ADC, vows to defy ballot rigging. Then on page 9, still on the down page of the Vanguard, El-Rufai Ribadu bickers over alleged importation of poisonous substance. El-Rufai Ribadu bickers over alleged importation of poisonous substance. Then on page 22, on the down page, still on the Vanguard, we have daily petrol imports declined by 42.2% to 28.8 million liters. Daily petrol imports declined by 42.2% to 28.8 liters. Then we also have on page 21, still on the Vanguard this morning, it's a federal government spent 26 billion on moribund Ajaokuta Steel Company. Federal government spent 26 million on moribund Ajaokuta Steel Company. That is coming on page 21 of the Vanguard this morning. These are the major stories leading the front page of the Guardian. Then on page 12, which is the up page of the Vanguard, where we see we communicate movements of terrorists to security agencies. Says terrorists can be defeated if. Then we also have discusses massive infrastructure achievement. Then we also have revealed how state IGR moves from 90 million to over 50 million in 30 months. A quick look at why, the main front page, a quick look at why the reps is under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of results, which is the trending story there, the trending caption on the Vanguard. I mean, these are the major reasons why behind the pressure, why they are trying to the compulsory e-transmission of result. Why reps is under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of result. We have political parties in interest and control of the process. We have political parties' interest and control of the process. I mean, pressure is coming largely from lawmakers aligned with the All Progressive Congress, the ruling parties that control both chambers of the National Assembly. I mean, they said to favor a version of the law that does not mandate real-time electronic transmission from polling units. And we also have for infrastructure and practical concern cited by proponents of flexibility. I mean, Senate leaders and some APC leaders argue that Nigerian current communication and power infrastructure isn't ready for national real-time electronic result transmission. I mean, these are the major reasons why they are coming serious under pressure to abandon e-transmission of results, why the reps is coming under pressure. Then we also have clash between transparency, demand, and political caution. I mean, civil society group, opposition lawmakers, labor's organization, and electoral reform advocates have been demanding compulsory real-time electronic transmission, seeing it as essential to curb manipulation and build trust in election. I mean, these are the major reasons why the reps is under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of results that has been on debate for so many weeks now. And then I think that is all for the front page of the Vanguard. A quick move to the next paper. Let's see the last paper for the day, the Daily Sun. Let's see what the Daily Sun is trending in with this morning before we do a quick recap. On the front page, the major front page of the Daily Trust, this Daily Sun this morning, Labour furious over 3 trillion bailout plans for power. Labour furious over 3 trillion bailout plans for power. And then we have claims money move to settle the boys ahead of 2027, demand reversal of privatization. Claims money moves to settle the boys ahead of 2027, demand reversal of privatization. Then we also saw on the up page, on page 29, just the down page of the Daily Sun, insisting on real-time transmission will plunge Nigeria into crisis, says the Senate. Insisting on real-time transmission will plunge Nigeria into crisis, says the Senate. Then on page 6, still on the Daily Sun, ADC knocks Tinubu for attending fishing festival amid escalating terror attack. ADC knocks Tinubu for attending fishing festival amid escalating terror attack. Then we also have under it says 1,300 Nigerians reportedly killed in last 41 days. Then on page 25, still on the Daily Sun, 8 states earmark 31 billion for legislature, house, cars, and furnitures. 8 states earmark 31 billion for legislature, houses, cars, and furniture. Then on page 28, still on the Daily Sun, where we have Cross River listed as oil producing state as federal government interagency committee submits reports to RMAFC. Cross River listed as oil producing state as federal government interagency committee submits reports to RMAFC. Then we also have on page 29, still on the Daily Sun this morning, 5 killed, 4 injured in Ebonyi mining collapse. 5 killed, 4 injured in Ebonyi mining collapse. Then quickly moving up to the up page of the Daily Sun, on page 27 and page 29, where we see 2023 mistake won't repeat in 2027, says Obi. 2023 mistake won't repeat in 2027, coming from Obi. Step down for Tinubu. It is not southeast turn, but coming from Umahi. Umahi says step down for Tinubu. It's not southeast turn, coming from Umahi. Then on page 2, still on the Daily Sun, where we have recapitalization. Bank rushes to finalize merge acquisition deal as CBN March 31 deadline nears. All right. Then on the front page of the Daily Sun, where we have Labour furious over 3 trillion bailout plans for power. A quick look at by the Labour being furious over the 3 trillion bailout plans for power. It says Labour sees bailout as rewarding failure. All right. I mean, these are the major reasons why they are so furious. I mean, the Labour has come out to say that they see it as a bailout as rewarding failure. They see the bailout as a rewarding failure. I mean, Labour leaders argue that the proposed 2 to 3 trillion bailout for power generation company, which is Genco and other operators, amounts to pouring huge sum of public money into private firms that have failed to deliver reliable electricity for Nigeria over many years. I mean, these are most of the reasons why they are so furious that the 3 trillion, I mean, being given to Genco, I mean, they have not been able to cover most of the places, I mean, coming from electricity. I mean, they are trying to say that it's a failure on their own part. I mean, they also have the reasons here where they are so furious that they see it as political rush ahead of election. I mean, the Labour has also come out to say that they see it as a political rush, as they see it as a political rules ahead of election. I mean, the Labour leaders claims that the bailout plan might be a tactics to settle favor companies or interests ahead of the 2027 general election. I mean, they see it as a favor company or interested ahead of the 2027 general election. And they also see it as privatization has failed, yet the government wants to fund the same company. I mean, they have so many reasons why they are so furious about the 3 trillion that has that as a bailout plan for the power that has been put for the power bailout. They also see it as Labour wants structural change, not subsidies. These are the major reasons why they are so furious that Labour, they want structural change, not subsidies. I mean, rather than big bailouts to struggling private companies, Labour is calling for a national stakeholder summit to develop a new power strategy and also reversal of the flawed privatization models. Then greater public investment in generation and transmission infrastructure. And lastly, service reflective, not cost reflective, tariff that reflects actual delivery. I mean, these are the major reasons why they are so furious over the 3 trillion that has been put into the bailout of power in Nigeria. I mean, these are the major trending stories that were brought across your way this morning. A quick recap on each and every paper that were brought across your way. The first we had today was The Guardian. And on the front page of The Guardian, we brought to you that port users pays more as NCS recreates multiple FX regime at 7% margin. And on the next paper, on the Punch, we brought to you on the front page of the Punch that National Assembly moves to shift presidential polls to February 13. That was formerly February 20th due to some reasons because of the Ramadan and some other legislative reasons. Then quickly moving to the next paper, which we brought to you on the New Telegraph, we brought to you that terror war, first batch of U.S. troops, military aircraft touched down in Nigeria. First batch of U.S. troop military aircraft touched down in Nigeria. Then on Vanguard, we brought to you on Vanguard this morning that reps under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of result. Reps under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of results. They were brought to you on the day, on the Vanguard, on the Daily Sun, sorry, the last paper that we have for the day. Labour are furious over 3 trillion bailout plans for power. Labour furious over 3 trillion bailout plans for power. I mean, these are major trending page stories that we brought across your way this morning, being the 16th of Monday, February 2026. All right, a quick look at most of these papers to grab in, to digest, to see more of the story. All right, stay tuned as we keep bringing you more trending stories on newspaper review every day. All right, stay tuned as we bring you more, and as we are bringing you today on IMD will be next on Idea TV. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. I still remain Gabriel Matthew Seriki. Thank you for your time.